recording this April 26th, right after the Knicks game. Knicks lose in a tragic game. Finished off our 9-game winning streak. Nolan, how you feel, man? Right after the Knicks game, immediate reaction.
Immediate reaction. The Suns are a really good team. They have the second best record in the NBA. So, is like as much as it sucks losing to them, at least you're hanging in there pretty tough with pretty good teams for the stretch of the game. But watching Chris Paul close that out, man, that one hurt. I wanted that one really bad.
Yeah, man. And it seemed like the offense really never got clicking 100%, except for the after the first half. The second half, I really felt like we struggled to score. Randall had a pretty like he had an okay performance with 18 and 6 and 4. Not the usual game. I feel like if he would have played up to par like he had been playing throughout the win streak, we would have probably had a way better fighting chance. But I can't even hate because what Randall has been doing has been incredible.
Oh yeah, man. If there's one player that deserves a pass for one game, it's definitely Randall on the team.
Yeah, for sure. And then you had your boy Cam Johnson just come and shoot those clutch threes, man.
After he started off so bad, and I was feeling so good about it. I was hating on the guy,
And
and
then
he got hot, man.
yeah, man. Then Bridges was playing amazing defense. Like we were
And
speaking
Notch
about.
didn't even play a minute.
Yeah, man. We was talking about it in the last pod on how like Mikel's game has really evolved. And right in front of us, we saw like him locking up RJ. RJ had a rough time this game. Only really shooting 3 from 9 from three, which is okay, but the way he's been shooting the ball would have been really helpful today. Also, Ayton really stepped up his defense in the second half. And Booker, we just couldn't style Booker. Shout out to Bullock and RJ for trying their best, trying to be physical with the guy. But
Yeah,
man,
you can only do so much against a player like that. Like we were saying earlier. It's always tough seeing a player like that like dominate your team throughout the game. But like I don't know, it's much more frustrating to me to watch role players like Cam Johnson and Cameron Payne get buckets than I expect Booker to put up like 25 a game. You know what I mean?
yeah, for sure. They're a pretty good team. I'd love to see how they do in the playoffs. But speaking about the Knicks, like we just finished a 9-game winning streak with Julius Randle just exploding these 9 games, putting the whole league, the whole NBA universe on scene to what we're doing this year, putting up 39 and 6, shooting 45% from three, 46% from the field, and 84% from the free throw line. How do you feel about Randall's play throughout this stretch, particularly because he's been playing out of his mind?
Oh yeah, if Randall can keep up this level of play consistently, like in particular his 3-point shooting and his mid-range shooting, he's a top 15 player in the league, in my opinion, if he can keep that up consistently. You
Yeah,
saw tonight he regressed a little bit. He didn't, like you said, he had an off game, and that happens to any player. But if he can consistently keep up that level, man, it really changes the whole timeline with RJ and everybody on our team from what I thought it was coming into this year.
yeah, and there was a story that came out that Randall was on Woj's podcast, and he was pretty much saying on how
Oh yeah, I listened to that. Yeah.
yeah, and how like the beginning of last year on how when they were struggling, you remember that press conference they had?
Mhm.
Yeah, around that time, like Randall was just pissed, and it was before Leon and them took the job, and they had like a whole dinner, and Peyton was there, and I think that's why Peyton is playing right now.
I think
For
that's a
real.
big part of it.
Yeah, I think because Peyton's connected with World Wide West and all of them, he has connections, and that pretty much that pretty much to me came full circle on like, okay, that's why Peyton has the favoritism. Hopefully he's not here next year.
Yeah,
But
I think that's a big part of it, but it's also like just you can't play D Rose like 40 minutes a game like we've been doing with Randall and Barrett. Is just his body just won't hold up. So I think a lot of it's just throwing Peyton out there, eat up some minutes in like the least consequential times to do that, or at like the beginnings of the first and third quarter, probably. So I think that's lately, especially you've seen quickly in D Rose closing out games. Before that, it was Burks a lot. But
yeah,
as long as he's not closing out games, he's not.
yeah.
He's not good, but he's not going to cost you a game on most nights if you play him in spot minutes.
Oh yeah, now if you play him in spot minutes, he'll be okay. But if you play him like 30 minutes, yeah, he's gonna fuck shit up.
Yeah,
Like
you're gonna run into problems then.
and like Bullock too. Like you saw that pass.
Oh
Oh,
yeah, that was
oh my
wild.
yeah, man. But uh RJ's been playing ridiculous throughout this 9 game stretch, putting up 17, 4, and 2, shooting 80% from the free throw line, which he was
Like
only shooting like 70%
and
from
like
his
50% from three too, right?
yeah, and 41% from three, actually.
Okay, okay.
And it's raised because before the All-Star break, his shooting his 3-point percentage was only 32. And now for the year, it's 38 for the whole year, you
Oh
know?
wow, yeah. No, he's definitely picked it up a second. I mean, he started off the year really streaky, and it made you think like, is this going to be like last year where he just gets hot every now and then? But that his jumper and his ability to finish at the rim have been like the biggest developments for RJ the past year, I think.
Yeah, and on the Ringer, Kevin O'Connor did a story about he interviewed his shooting coach, and he was saying on how the whole summer they were dissecting the shot on making his elbow come out, and it's just like a whole thing to restructure his shot, even from Duke, because he was a terrible shooter at Duke at 31%,
Yeah.
and everybody, majority college players, if they're going to the league, majority of them they shoot it good, from the college because it's not as deep.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, even RJ was a terrible shooter from college, and it's incredible, even like a year and a half, 2 year span on how he's changed his jump shot, and and it's I feel like it's gonna relieve some of the pressure from going forward because if he's able to shoot the jump shot, we're like one piece away. We're not that far away from taking that next step as a team.
No, yeah, I think we're really close as a team. I mean, I don't know about you, but like with this roster we have this year, like ideally for me, if you could just pretty much run this team back with anybody other than Alfred Payton, like, I mean, I'm not saying that's all you need to win, but I think it would definitely close up some like some big gap between us and like the Bucks and us and like the Sixers, just having an all-star level point guard come into this team.
Yeah, man. And another Knicks player that I want to talk about, I want to shout out is Nerlens, man. Shout out to Nerlens
He's
holding
been playing
down.
unreal on, especially I mean on defense particularly, but just in general, he's had such a he's filled like you said, he's filled in for Mitch like as good as anybody could have expected.
Yeah, and he's putting up 3 blocks a game. Those
Mm-hmm.
highlight like blocks we all love to see on Twitter. And he's giving Mitch a run for his money. Like
Yeah.
like if I'm Leon Rose, I'm not paying nobody. I'm not paying nobody. I'm bringing y'all both back on a 1 year deal, and I'm going to see what's up because no Noel pretty much gives you everything that Mitch does, and Mitch is gonna expect a hefty payday.
The only thing I think that really separates Mitch and Nerlens, the biggest thing is a Nerlens has horrible hands. It's painful to watch sometimes on
Mitch hands is
offense.
not that good either.
I mean, they're better than fucking Nerlens though. I see him like they throw him up so many lobs that he doesn't come down with. So many just passes like bounce passes underneath the basket. That and the I feel like Mitch does a better job with offensive rebounds and like putbacks. Just I think he has stronger legs than Nerlens, which is surprising considering he's so much younger than Nerlens. But I think that his like strength down there is probably the biggest difference in those two games right now.
Yeah, man, and it's from all the turmoil that we have faced, man, as Knicks fans, as diehard fans, man, like
It's rough.
it's rough, but this stretch has been some of the best basketball I have probably been.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
this is probably the best stretch of basketball I have witnessed as a basketball fan. Like that mellow season was cool, but I kind of expected because all the veterans, I kind of expected to be decent.
Uh-huh.
But coming into the season, I had no expectations. I was ready to draft Cade, but man,
Yeah, no, dude. I mean, that's the one thing that's really special about this year as a Knicks fan that you have to kind of appreciate. It's just the expectations that this team had coming into the year to where they are. Like in that 2013 year, like you said, there were veterans on that team. Carmelo was in his prime. You expected them to have a good year. And if anything, you felt like they underachieved at the end of it.
yep.
But now it's just you're exceeding this going to this year. If you would have told me we would have had one play in a game, I'd have been ecstatic. The fact that we're have home court in a first round playoff series right now, the season we're in today, that's just mind blowing to me still.
Who do you want in the first round, man? If you could pick, who do you want in the first round?
I mean, oh man. Part of me wants the Celtics if we could get them,
Okay, okay.
but Tatum scares me.
Yeah, I
Brown
was just say
scares
Tatum
me.
would beat us by himself if he...
But their bench is like they have nobody on their bench.
True, true.
And I don't know the way the Knicks play. They're such a deep team. I feel like that definitely wears on a team like that in a 7 game series without tougher defenses. And I think that is the biggest reason I'd want to see them. What about you?
I want Atlanta.
Atlanta?
I
Yeah.
want Atlanta. I think we're just too physical for them. You know, I've been watching like the post game interviews and saying what they have to say about us, and literally every single team talks about how physical we are, and it's
Mm-hmm.
hard to keep up with us for 48 minutes because you think about it, we have Randall going downhill 24/7, we have RJ going downhill 24/7, we got Rose, we got Taj banging down there, we got Noel blocking everything. You know, we are a very physical, imposing team. And I think Atlanta's just too soft. They're skilled, but I just think they're too soft for the playoff grind.
I agree with that, man. I mean, they're a pretty injury prone team. And just in general, I feel like you said, like, I don't know, like you can attack Trae Young on defense. You can go at him all night with RJ, and it's just going to be a struggle for him. We didn't have many answers for Trae Young in that last game, but I mean, I have more faith in our defense than I do in Trae Young's offense, I guess.
Before we cut off from the Knicks, before the game started on Twitter, there was ridiculous rumors about how Knicks fans want DeMar DeRozan on the team. Could we stop this? Could we stop?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely not my ideal choice of how I want things to go this offseason. But I mean, if it comes down to it and they're I don't know exactly what circumstance I'm trying to like justify this in my head now where I'm making it seem like it would be okay to get DeRozan in here. But you can't have spacing like that. He's just not a good enough shooter. And RJ's been better as a shooter, but he's by no means like a 3 point specialist or anything like that.
Yeah, I would be seriously disappointed if we got DeRozan. Like, I would be like everything this whole season would be down the drain because like it doesn't matter anymore because DeRozan will take 25 shots. He'll take away from RJ's development. He's not like Gordon Hayward, where it's like, he's cool with being in the background. Like, no, he has to be the lead ball handler. If you look at San Antonio, shout out to San Antonio, they beat the Wizards.
Oh,
Like,
did they win that game? I saw it in like overtime, didn't it?
yeah, we could transition to the Wizards actually because they lost to the Spurs today. But regardless of the fact that Russell, like, he averaged a triple double 20, he averaged triple double throughout that 8 game win streak. They were the second hottest team behind us, putting up 21, 12, and 12. How do you feel about Russ, this season? Because I know he hasn't made an all-star team this year. How do you feel about his season?
To be honest with you, I really, really was hating on Russ for the first like half of the season.
Have you always hated Russ or no?
No, no, no. I mean, I'm not the biggest Russ fan in the world, but I don't hate him or anything like that. It's just that going into this year, he seemed like he was pretty injured to start off the year. And it was hard for me to tell like how much was him just like losing a step, getting a little worse on offense, and just like kind of grinding down from the physical nature he plays, always attacking the rim. It's got to take a toll on your knees and everything. So to see him healthy now with Beal, that's more of the team I was expecting coming into this year than we saw for the first half of the year. And most of the times we actually played the Wizards, luckily. But
Yeah, I agree.
what
100%
did you think
agree.
about the Wizards coming into the year?
No, I thought they would be a top 4 seed, top 5 seed. I really thought they were gonna make some real noise. I really
I did too, yeah.
I like Thomas Bryant, their center that went down. I like Russ. I've always been a Russ book fan. I just like how he approaches the game. I like his motor.
Oh yeah, I
Like,
love his mentality, man. He's just so locked in all the time.
and from somebody who played basketball, like high school basketball, and to see this dude average a triple double, like that is physically crazy. Like, people
Oh
don't
yeah.
understand. Like, I know he must be in an ice bath every night. There is no way he could average a triple double every single game. Like, I've that's still, I would tell my children about that. Like, there was a man that averaged a triple double,
And
and
like the most impressive part about it is triple doubles. It's usually rebounding. You know what I mean? For a guard that size to go up, beating people out for rebounds like that, that just it's fun to watch, man. And then he gets the rebound and goes in transition, and he's unstoppable.
Yeah, man, he's a physical freak, even at like 30 plus.
Yeah, you want
Still,
to talk about a team that's a playing team that has a chance to scare some people in the East? They could end up with a pretty favorable matchup if things fall right for them.
yeah, for sure. And I feel like Russ never didn't get a fair shake from most of the fans this year because you remember he hurt his quad in the bubble,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah,
then when he was about to get healthy to start the year, he missed the first few games, and then he caught COVID. And when you catch COVID, like Tatum would tell you, a lot of these players would tell you, like they still not good. They still
right, yeah.
recovering.
That takes some time for your body, man.
Yeah, so I feel like next year, like they're gonna be in a better path. Like they're probably gonna be in a better path. And Beal during the 8 game win streak, averaging 30, 37 from 3 point land on 8 attempts, 45 from the field goal range, and 88% from the free throw line, just scorching hot as always. How do you feel about Bradley Beal, his attitude this year and stuff like that? Because the rumors and all that.
Um, I love that Bradley Beal has been not like super like pushing to get out of Washington and been like accepting of his role and his responsibility on that team. Even early on in the year when they were scoring, I think they had like a losing record in games where Bradley Beal scored 40 points for a pretty long time. They still might, honestly. But I love that he wants to be part of the turnaround in Washington and that he wants to be a leader and lead by example and everything like that.
Yeah, I agree. And I feel like this 8 game winning streak that they just had just gave him hope. He gave him an extra year. This 8 game winning streak to me, if I'm Bradley Bill and I see the core and I'm like, okay, if we bring back most of the guys and Thomas Bryant comes back, because when Thomas Bryant went down in the beginning of the year, they gave him a big bag. Not a big bag, but a Mitch type of bag that Mitch would
Yeah, all
expect.
right.
And he started to shoot the three, and he's been always been decent at defending the rim. And their draft picks, I forgot his name, Ruri, right? That's his name.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, yeah. He's decent. I like him. He's a good
Yeah, I
role
mean, he's only
player.
going to get better as time goes on, too.
Bertans, he battled COVID, so I'm
Oh, he had
ignoring
it
his
too?
percent. Yeah, I'm ignoring his percentages for the year. People been throwing like bashing him, like
No, I've always liked Bertines, man. He's a good player.
I didn't like that because he had COVID, bro. Like, come on.
That's what I'm saying. Like, people are complaining about their side effects from their second COVID vaccine shot, and this dude actually had the full blown virus, and
Yeah.
people are going to give him a hard time.
Yeah, and then when they got a guy named Daniel Gafford from Chicago, I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he's stepped into a starting center role, and he's had kind of like the Nerlens Noel effect. He's athletic, he's a lob threat, he's defending the
Yeah,
rim.
yeah. No, I followed him actually a decent bit. He's a pretty athletic big. He's fun to watch.
Yeah, and as far as the future, the front office, like as long as they don't fuck up and they add a little bit more physical wings, because I feel like defensively, if they could add maybe like a not a Aaron Gordon type, somebody who could be physical on the wing and defend, I think they're
Hmm.
fine next year.
Yeah, no, I think they're good. I don't really know what their salary cap situation is. I mean, I know obviously Russ is making a ton of money and Beal can't be cheap, but I don't know who
Pretty
else do they
much,
really
like
have
they're
on their
eating cap.
books.
Bertans is eating cap, and yeah, and Thomas Bryant with his new contract. Those are pretty much the four guys that are eating their
Yeah,
hat.
so
Yeah,
you should still have a decent enough money to get some veterans in there to help, role players to help you win games next year too.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, moving on to another team in the East that has slidden outside the play-in race. The Chicago Bulls. I don't understand what the Chicago Bulls are doing. They're 6-11 with Vucevic. Gave up 3 first-round picks, including Wendell, because Wendell never really played with the Bulls. So you got to include him. He's a developmental piece
Right.
out of my college, Duke. I love Duke, so you got to
Yeah,
support
yeah.
the boys. How you
No,
feel
I like
about
Wendell Carter a lot. I liked him coming out of the draft a lot. And I mean, the Bulls, like that trade just didn't make any sense to me at the deadline. That was like the biggest head scratcher to me. It's just because you're mortgaging your future on a player who is a borderline all-star player. And I say borderline because he was, injury replacement into the All-Star game.
Yeah.
And you just don't have much room to get better from here now. You traded away so many picks and all these things to try to keep Zach LaVine healthy. And now that trade, ironically, might be the reason he ends up leaving in free agency. Like, I mean, I don't know. What do you think about the Bulls after that move? What do you think of that move in the first place?
I'm not gonna lie. Essentially, like in the beginning, I'm like, okay, I see the vision, right? Because Vucevic game is not gonna age, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe so. Like you have Levine in his prime. Vucevic game is not gonna age much, and then maybe Patrick Williams could come along, or I don't know. Maybe that's why I saw how they was gonna do it, but no, they don't have a good enough team surrounding parts to do that. Like they haven't like Patrick Williams. I wasn't the biggest fan out of him coming out of college. I don't know about you. I
Nah,
thought
I
Devin
really like him.
Vassell was better.
Oh yeah, definitely. I like Vassell way better than that coming into the draft at least.
He was backing him up. Like
Yeah, I know that's nuts.
and I remember, bro, when I remember when Patrick Williams, like his name was like people were saying that he might be a top 5 pick and blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
And I'm like, and we was in quarantine the whole time. So like as a basketball nerd, I'm
you're
studying.
watching a lot of
Yeah,
basketball.
yeah, I'm
Yeah,
watching
same
a lot.
here.
Yeah. So I'm like, what am I seeing that they're not seeing? Because the
Uh,
dude that he's backing up is 10 times better.
oh, that's you see some people, some teams and analysts and scouts go crazy right before the draft. Like, do you remember when Hasheem Thabit went like
Oh
second
man.
or third overall?
Yeah, that was I don't even know what to say about that.
I just remember Dwan Blair tossing him at Pitt over his shoulder, and I just, oh man, that one I didn't understand. I mean, he was tall, but he was so scrawny.
I feel like I don't know, maybe Patrick Williams, like his maybe he was NBA ready in terms of his body, like he was physically like ready to play in the league, but
Mm.
uh his 3-point shot still needs developing. Like his mid-range game is okay.
How old is he? Do you know?
Bro, he's like 19, 20 years old.
Okay, I wasn't sure if he was older than that or not when he
No,
was
no,
starting over him.
no, no. He's only like 19. And that's part of the reason why Chicago took the risk on him because
Mm-hmm.
he's
The
already
upside,
there
so yeah.
physically. But another pick. How you felt about like their draft? Like they drafted Colby White, which I'm not a big fan of.
I'm
Lower
not either.
marketing, which he needs to change his scenery. I thought they should have traded him by now. They're
I'm
ready.
surprised they didn't. Yeah.
They're ready to trade all their first round picks, but can't trade the people who don't want to be
Yeah.
there.
Laurie Marketing just, I don't know. He can't play a lick of defense, man. And you're that big and you can't protect the rim, and all you're good for is a few buckets on the other end. I mean, it's hard to carve out like a starting role for yourself in the NBA that way.
Yeah, man. And then Denzel Valentine. I don't know if you've seen that video of him
I
like
did. I saw you tweeted that too. Then I saw it on Sports Center today, and I was like,
he was lying.
no, I swear to God, I can't remember what show it was on. Some show on ESPN. They showed it today, and I was just dying. There's like a whole like thread of like, well, Denzel's like the worst player in the NBA or something like that. Like this whole thread they were showing. It was crazy,
Yo, I forgot he was even in the league, bro. Like
dude.
that's
I
crazy.
didn't either until I saw that awful shot he put up.
And I thought he would be decent coming out of Michigan State.
No, I really did too, man. I love Michigan State as like a program. That's like the end. That's like how I would want Pitt basketball to be. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's the program like I would like try to emulate in that they're like a tough-minded team. They have great like success, but they don't have a ton of one and done players. It's like a realistic comparison for Pitt. And it's, I don't know, man. I don't know what happened to him. I really don't.
The Bulls having a
Yeah, that didn't help him at all. I'll tell you
and,
that.
and another guy, Chris Dunn, which is
Chris Dunn, though.
goddamn. I don't know what happened to him. And his
He's on Atlanta, right?
yeah, is he?
Yeah, I think he's on Atlanta, like not playing at all. He's been hurt all year. He's
Am I
average. He only averaged like 8 minutes a game before that, but
man? And him coming out the draft because his defensive and like his defensive ability and him being able maybe one day have a good offensive game. His
that was it. Yeah,
yeah,
he just can't shoot, man.
yeah. And then the ringleader of all this, Billy Donovan. I have never been a big fan of Billy
I
Donovan.
wasn't either. I mean, he's a good college coach. I think he won 2 titles at Florida, but before that, I mean, other than that, like he hasn't really shown anything in the NBA. He was a disappointment in OKC. He's still a disappointment now. Like I don't see how that dude still has a job, honestly.
Yeah, man. And then the Bulls fans are pissed off at him. He's not playing Kobe White. You know, Kobe White he's pretty much getting the Kevin Knox treatment. I've heard.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And
Damn.
they just drafted him last year, which is
I was gonna say, yeah,
crazy.
because like I remember him having that one game against the Knicks. He hit like 7 threes or something like that.
And they got Tony Sanaraski starting at point guard. And
Oh yeah, no, some of the Bulls fans really love that dude though.
but it's kind of like, it's more like he's on our team when we love him. It's not like, oh, this dude
Right,
is
right,
good and
right.
we love
Yeah,
him.
yeah. It's like our fans with Frank, kind of.
And it sucks, right? Because if you're a Bulls fan, right, you traded for Vucevic to hopefully get into the playoff picture, but now you're 2 games out of the play-in because the Wizards hot streak, right?
Yeah, they lost to the Magic with Wendell Carter. Everybody
Joe,
right after that trade. Like that's horrible.
I had to go back in League Pass and watch that game. Yo, he was
Yeah,
giving
I
them
watched
the
the I watched like the
business.
condensed version of that. But yeah, Wendell went off that game. It was funny as hell.
Yeah, yeah. And if you're the owner, what do you do with the GM? Because I believe this is his first year, his first full year, right? I think he took reigns this past summer, right? If I'm wrong.
That sounds right. I'm not 100% sure, but
Yeah, because he fired Jim Bolin. I wasn't his coach. So I believe
mhm.
this is him. This fresh start is him. And he came out the gates gambling, and he hasn't been winning. I don't know. How do you what do you do? Do you fire Billy Donovan? What do you do if you're the owner?
I mean, personally, I probably fire Billy Donovan just because I don't know what else you do. I mean, I'm not a fan of Billy Donovan to begin with, like we said earlier. And if you can't make that change and like hope to see some change in direction from your team, like it's harder to replace your president and your GM and blame them than it is to blame a coach. If you switch your coach out and then he's not able, like that doesn't get a result, then you go to those people. But I think you have to start at the coach level and then work up to there. What do you think?
Looking at their cap space, they're not really spending money.
Mm-hmm.
The person they're paying the most is Vucevic, and then
Is he on
Levine.
a contract here too?
Vucevic, I believe he has 1 more year left,
Okay, okay.
which is a player option. So you know he's gonna take that.
Right.
And then Levine, he's getting paid 17 million. He's due for an extension. So those are the only two. And then they have people on minimum deals like Thaddeus Young and then rookie deals.
Yeah, I like that he's young a lot.
So like they're gonna have money to improve the team, kind of like what Atlanta did.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I don't trust their front office because their front office hasn't done anything well since what Derrick Rose. Like,
Really,
yeah,
anything. I mean,
uh,
yeah, they're like you said, they're in a tough spot, man. I don't even know. I mean, you can who wants to really come to that team
yeah,
right now is
yeah.
the bigger thing. Like you can throw people some money like the Knicks did last year and like overpay some players to come and fill in roles, but really that's just like icing around the edges of things. Like you're not really like fixing the core problems with that team.
I predict that they will throw their hat in the DeMar DeRozan sweepstakes.
I hope so, man. Shit.
Man, they're gonna try to do something. Moving on. Steph Curry, man, we gotta talk about Steph Curry. The last 12 games, averaging 38 points, 6 assists, 4 rebounds. Statistically, the best stretch of basketball he has played, and like he's been tearing up the league. How you feel about Steph Curry's play, man?
I love Steph Curry so much. Like that
Yeah,
is like my like every 2K player I've ever made in my life is basically Steph Curry. Just an undersized short dude going up there jacking up threes. Oh, I love it. I mean, he's just incredible. I mean, I can't remember what the stat was. They were showing the amount of games NBA players had where they scored at least 10 threes, and he had like at least 20 something. And then the second player with the second most 10 3-point games was Clay Thompson with like 4. And I was like, the two top most people are on the same team. Like, that's so ridiculous. I can't wait till Clay comes back next year. I think they're going to be right back in the playoff picture. What do you think about what do you think they're going to look like next year?
well, next year, man. If Clay could come back 70, 80% of what he was,
Mm-hmm.
watch out, man, because they still have assets. You got to think, they still have Minnesota's pick, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They still have Minnesota's pick. They still have Wiseman who they could deal. Draymond Green, if you watch their games, he is still a defensive player caliber player. He still
Oh
defends the
yeah.
best player.
And
He's
he's a good
still,
passer.
still. And the only thing that's really falling off is his jump shot, which is,
Yeah.
it
It's
is what
never
it
been
is.
great, but I mean, yeah, it's not getting any better. Which you think like the older you get, the more you'd rely on things like your jump shot, and he'd work on that a lot more. Not saying that he doesn't work on it, but I mean, it's been disappointing to see him shoot worse than he probably has throughout his career.
And like Steph Curry is probably my favorite player that's not in the Knicks jersey. I love Steph Curry.
Same here, man.
And everything about those Warriors runs and everything, I loved every second.
I
Every
did too.
second.
I really did, man. Curry's one of my favorite players. Like it's a lot of my friends hate on Curry for some weird. I just don't understand the
Yeah,
Curry
mine's
hate.
too. Yeah, I
I
don't get
really
it.
don't get it. Like he's just like a good dude. He never like did anything wild. He's not like he's arrogant, but I mean, I'd be arrogant too if I was like the best 3-point shooter in league history.
Yeah, the supreme confidence that he had, man,
You
is
need that
ridiculous.
confidence if you're gonna shoot it like him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was watching Undisputed with Skip and Shannon, and then they were talking about Steph Curry ranking, and Skip said that number one, he said that Karl Malone is better than Steph Curry. David Robinson is better than Steph
I
Curry.
said Jerry West.
Jerry West is
I
better than Steph
mean,
Curry.
shit.
And then
I'm a Jerry West defender, like, like all the time in arguments with my friends, and like that doesn't like no, he's not. Like, I love Jerry West, but no,
he said Bill Walton, bruh,
Bill Walton, dude,
bruh.
like get out of here. Skip Bayless. I don't. Oh man, I'm so glad that dude's not on ESPN anymore, and I don't like listen to him much anymore. He's just so irritating.
That was so disrespectful on so many levels. Like you really said Bill Walton is better than Steph Curry. Yo, like I died. Like I was in tears, full blown tears when I heard
Dude,
that. I was like, no way, this man literally like he's on TV getting paid to say this stuff. And it,
wild shit.
yo, yo, like I'd be with him. I'd be with him with like the heart and stuff, like the moments. Like he has points, like in
Yeah,
some
no,
occasions.
sometimes he has good points. I'm not like saying he's like doesn't know what he's talking about, but all the LeBron loving and just like stuff like that just irritates you so much sometimes.
Yeah, I don't get it. What do you have him ranked all the time? Like,
Curry,
yeah, point guards. Like, first we say point guards. Like, what do you have him ranked?
that's tough because like not that he isn't a good passer because he's like a really I mean he's a really good passer, but just the way that he's an offensive first guard like makes him hard to rank in terms of point guard. But I mean, I can't think of 10 point guards I would take above him or anything.
Yeah, not for sure. I think the only point guard that I would think about taking him is probably Magic, right?
Yeah, yeah.
If you're
That's
not Magic, I'm not really like I can't persuade me on that argument. Best 3-point shooter, two-time MVP. Like, it's
the
ridiculous.
only unanimous MVP in NBA history.
The Warriors are going to be scary. Hopefully, Clay comes back healthy and we get to see because
That's the good thing about Clay's game is that like he runs around a lot and like he goes fights over screens and stuff, but he's not like a player that creates his own shot. He's much more of like a catch and shoot player. So at least he won't have to rely on his athleticism a ton.
and also Wiggins. Wiggins has been playing that 3-and-D style. He's had a few big
Oh yeah, dude.
games.
Shout out to everybody that said Kerr's not a good coach because he's getting the most out of a player like Wiggins right now when you didn't see that from Wiggins any other year in the league so far.
Oh yeah, Kerr. Now Kerr is a top 5 coach. Like he has Damian Lee playing well. He has Juan Toscado playing well. He has
Anybody that's there ends up playing well.
yeah, and it's the system, man. It's something I've always wanted in New York,
Mm-hmm.
and that we have now. And
Yeah,
it's
we
like
have it's a different system. It's Tibbs' system of defense first and attacking the rim, but I mean it's still a system, and you can see the results of that system being in place and how every player has their role. Where a player like Reggie Bullock can come out and play undersized version of Klay Thompson role for this team. You know what I mean? Where he can just D up perimeter players and shoot the open threes when he has them.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Another player who has been lighting it up these past 8 games is Paul George. Paul George has been putting up 32, 7, and 5, shooting 44% from three, 91% from the free throw line, and 50% from the field. And pretty much is killing it. And some of those games Kawhi hasn't been playing, so he's been leading the squad. It looks like the Clippers have been gearing up for the second half for the playoffs. And I feel like, with the Lakers having their problems and AD just came back, I believe yesterday or today. I don't know. Did he come back today?
He came back either a game or two ago, and he's played at least one or two already.
Yeah, with the Lakers getting ready to come back, the Clippers, this is their year to me. Like this is their year to win it. If they don't win it this year, it's going to be hard for them. We spoke about them how last podcast on how
Mm-hmm.
Kawhi, he will have a wandering eye if they get out the first round or something like that. But this is their best year, and I feel like maybe with Serge Ibaka coming back and Rondo, if Paul George is able to keep his play in the playoffs, which has been always been a question mark, this is
Yeah.
to me, they're my pick, honestly.
Yeah, no, I love the Clippers. I've loved that team since they came together. I mean, um, if Paul George can keep up his level of play, like I mean, even when he was in OKC a few years ago, he was what, like third in MVP voting that year.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, like he's I mean, not that he's as good as Kawhi, but he's a top 10 player in the league. And I mean, watching him and Kawhi together has been fun, but watching him lately like, kind of take the lead role away from Kawhi because Kawhi's been out and injured and stuff. I think that's when Kawhi thrives best is when he's not asked to do too much. When he's like when he's in Toronto and he's with the Spurs, he had a good team around him and he just dominated his matchup. But when you ask him to be the focal point of your offense, like before they got Rondo, they were running a lot of their offense through him. And he didn't like that. It didn't really work out well with them doing that. And I just think that he's going to be better off if Paul George kind of runs more of the offense himself. What do you think about the Clippers? Do you think you said they're your favorite pick?
probably in the West, yes. I really liked that Denver team, but with the Jamal Murray injury,
Yeah, man, that sucks. I hate to see that.
yeah, the Lakers, the Lakers are going to be in the conversation always, but I'm a little
For sure.
hesitant because we don't know how their situation is going to be with injuries and how they're coming back. And the West is as loaded as it always is. Um, what other team? The Suns. We just saw how good they are, but I don't think they're good enough. Sadly,
No, I don't either. I don't think they're good enough to make it to the Western Conference Finals or anything like that.
yeah. So if the Clippers are able to survive a battle with a week-ish Lakers team with them not coming back, not having that,
That's the
Kamari.
biggest question for sure if they match up in the playoffs before the finals.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. It is. Uh,
Yeah.
and just one more thing before we go. The Nets, Harden. There was news a few days ago that Harden that he probably won't be back until the first round. He remember when he pulled his hamstring with
Yeah,
us.
yeah.
Yeah, he still hasn't played, and
I didn't
it,
realize it was gonna be that long. I thought he'd be back at least a little bit before the playoffs. That's wild.
and no, and Milwaukee is looking great. Philly, they're always going to be looking great. Do you think with that, you think that's going to affect them at all? Or they're just going to sweep everybody. Do you think?
I really don't know. I almost brought this up earlier, but I didn't want to bring up the Nets without like being asked about the Nets. Um, they they haven't been healthy all year, and they still have the number one seed in the East. Like it's hard for me to see them getting Harden back and not being the favorite in that conference. Like Embiid's gonna give them problems, Giannis will give them problems, but I don't think we've ever seen that much offensive talent on one team in the NBA. What do you
No,
think about the Nets?
If I was a betting man, I would not bet against the Nets, but I would not be surprised if they lost just because
Oh,
maybe,
right.
yeah, because they got put together.
They're
Like,
giving you every reason to doubt them,
yeah,
but the
yeah.
talent's just so crazy.
And they came together, in the beginning of the year. They didn't have like training camp. They didn't have all that stuff together. And I feel like it's just a team on the fly. I don't really see them as a cohesive unit. Like they're a team they're just a talented team. And I feel like when they get into wars with Philly and Milwaukee, and how the addition of Drew Holiday and how Embiid is taking his game to the next level, and hopefully he gets to show that in the playoffs. It I wouldn't be surprised if they lost.
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, teams like Philly specifically and Milwaukee too, to some extent, have like just been together for so long, and they've been in so many of those like playoff battles together that when times like come down to it, is Brooklyn gonna just rely on isolation basketball, or is Harden gonna be able to be like good enough of a playmaker to keep everybody involved in that team? I think that's really the question of how far they go in the playoffs.
And I feel like they was really gonna try to use LaMarcus Aldridge in the playoff run, and he went down with that career-ending heart injury.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
There's regular heartbeats or whatever that was.
I don't know how DeAndre Jordan is gonna hold up in the playoffs. Blake Griffin is gonna be he's gonna play spot minutes. I really like their center, Nick Claxton. His ability to be able to switch on guards and forwards.
Yeah,
He's
no, he's
able to
someone
move
that
his
really
feet.
surprised me when they traded Jared Allen. I was like, man, you're not gonna have anybody at center behind DeAndre Jordan. DeAndre Jordan's way too old to be playing, like 35 minutes a game or something. But that Claxton's really showed up, and I mean, you got to give Brooklyn credit. They traded for Harden and quote unquote gutted their team, but they still have so many good players on that team, like role players, like whether it's shoot, what's their shooting guard's name?
Bruce Brown.
Or no, maybe small whoever was in the 3-point contest.
Oh, Joe Harris.
Joe Harris, that's it. Yeah. I mean, he's great. Watching players like Claxton develop. You really gotta give their your credit to Brooklyn for keeping keeping quality players around their stars too.
Shout out to Steve Nash. He's coached great. Like out of all this chaos, he's as you said,
Oh yeah.
propelled them to the first seed. He's done a better job than people thought. People thought he was just gonna be a puppet. Kyrie's comments with the we don't need a coach and all that stuff. He's
Mhm.
done a great job, and
Yeah, I mean,
I,
as good as you can expect, given like all the roster like fluctuation they've had, the injuries, everything like that. I mean, Kerr's just been consistent. I'm not Kerr, Nash.
yeah, uh, pretty much that's all we got to talk about, and we catch you guys probably next week or towards the end of this week.
Sounds good to me, man. Good talking to you.
Uh,